To submit active learning and homework assignments in this class, you will need to do the following Github cycle. You will start off by forking the repository. You would then clone that repository to your local work environment. You would make your additions, push your changes back up, and then make a pull request. I'm going to go ahead and show you slides on this, and then we will do an example. As I mentioned, you will start out by going to the repository. In this case, I've created a dummy repository called Active Learning that we will use for this example. Once you navigate there, you would fork that repository and you would clone that down to your local work environment. Once you've done that, you will add a folder with your GitHub username, add to it your starter code and all your changes, all your additions, all of your work. We will use this simply to tell apart all of the submissions that are done in class. So make sure you add all of your changes inside of that folder with your GitHub username. Now, once you've done that, you will go through the usual cycle of adding, committing, and pushing the changes. You would then confirm that those have been made within your GitHub repository, and then you would do a pull request. Now let's go ahead and walk through that cycle. I've opened up here a browser window and I have a couple of tabs. In the first one, I'm just showing you that I'm logged in as Peter Parker data. And in the second one, I've navigated over to the repo that I mentioned, the Active Learning repo. And as you can tell here, you can see the little Peter Parker icon. I'm logged in as him. And you can see there that I have some starter code and some files. I'm now going to go ahead and fork that repository. That is, I'm making a copy of this repository into my own GitHub working space. You can see there that I have some feedback saying that it should only take a few seconds. Now that's gone ahead and completed, and as you can see here, I have now under Peter Parker data an Active Learning repo that is forked from 1XC Active Learning. Now let's go ahead and clone the repository. Going to go ahead and get the address here. We enter git clone. And as you can see there, we now have a new folder. Into it, we're going to add a folder with our username, which is Peter Parker data. Inside of it, we'll place a copy of the starter code. And we're going to go ahead and modify this file. We're simply going to add one more line that says hello world. Go ahead and save. And now we're going to go ahead and add those changes, commit them, and push the changes back up to GitHub. So let's go ahead and move into that directory. We'll go ahead and check the status, and we're going to go ahead and add the changes. We're going to check the status again, just simply to confirm that it is adding those changes that we just made. Then we're going to go ahead and commit. And we're going to say added hello world. We're then going to go ahead and push those changes back up. And we're going to next confirm that those changes are now inside of our repository. So as you can see there, we have a new folder called Peter Parker data starter code. And if we go inside of it, you'll see that we have our index with the new comment that is hello world. At this point, we can go ahead and create our new pull request. And we're going to go ahead and do that next. And we're simply going to say sample active learning. We're going to go ahead and create the pull request. And so that's on its way. To review, we created a fork, then we cloned that repository down to our local work environment. We made some changes, added those to GitHub, pushed, and then made a pull request. At that point, you're done with the submission. I'll go ahead and show you what it looks like from the instructor side, simply so you see what those changes come in like on our side. Let's go ahead and move to that repository. And as you can see here, I'm under the Able Son identity, which is my identity. And if I go ahead and refresh, at this point I have 0 pull request. And if I refresh, I have 1 now. And that pull request, it's coming in from Peter Parker data. So once I integrate that, I would have an additional folder with the code that was added by Peter Parker data. And I would get one from every single participant in the class that made a pull request and followed that pattern. So with that, I'll wish you happy coding and goodbye.